This video looks at Charles Handy's different organisational cultures, and we're in this part of the specification here. And the cultural topography that Charles Handy came up with came from decades of studying different organisational cultures, and he came to the conclusion that different types of culture are influenced about the assumptions regarding where power comes from in an organisation. And he identified 4 different types of culture that you need to be aware of. So first of all, a role culture that assumes that power in an organisation is determined by rank, and it is passed down from the top to the bottom of an organisation. So it's associated with tool structures and bureaucracy. So, you know, the main power is centred at the top here, and that power is delegated down to the different functional areas, the different departments. And the managers of the top of the organisation are those people with the expertise, and they therefore should be respected. And they will make the decisions in the organisation. Task culture is different to that. It assumes that power in an organisation is determined by the expertise and ability to perform a certain task or project to its successful completion. So in this case, we're viewing our workers as those people with the expertise in which to solve problems, work on different projects, help satisfy customers. And this task culture tends to be associated with flat structures and empowerment, where we're authorising people from different teams to come together in order to problem solve for the organisation, and they're empowered to do so. So rather, the role culture kind of emphasises the importance of the different departments having the authority passed down to them. Maybe in a task culture, it's more important to get this project done, and we'll combine people from marketing, finance, operations in order to do that. A power culture assumes that power in an organisation is held by one expert whose role it is to make decisions and determine the organisational strategy. So it tends to be associated with strong, charismatic leaders. So Steve Jobs is an example of, he was a very kind of hands-on leader who very much dictated the strategic direction of Apple. And basically, if he said something, it went. He was very instrumental behind the design of the iPhone, the iPad, and the movement from Apple into kind of the music industry as they launched that iPod and that kind of direction. So very charismatic, strong leaders are associated with a power culture. Person culture, on the other hand, doesn't tend to have any kind of formal structure, and it assumes that all organisations have different strengths, and the role of the organisation is to enable the employee to demonstrate their abilities. Okay, so this tends to be associated with quite loose managerial control. Often associated with organisations that have got professionals like kind of lawyers, solicitors, accountants. These kind of small businesses, often partnerships, dentists, for example, where the people are the expert, and they all have different strengths, and the role of the organisation is there to allow that person to fulfil their abilities. Okay, and if any managerial control is there, it's very, very loose. So Handy's main point, however, I should point out, is that most organisations will include some element of all of these. It would be very difficult to say an organisation is entirely this. In reality, most organisations will have different elements of these 4 cultures in all of them.